Hey, and thank you for clicking play. Video today is just to have a quick look at the A1200 and what I've done to improve the image output. So as you're probably aware, and you guys won't really notice a difference when I'm recording screen, but I certainly do. I've just been using composite out the back of the A1200 because the A1200 does have color composite, unlike the A500, which has monochrome unless you use the RF modulator, which does have composite out. And that gives me this kind of image on a modern screen, and I will be swinging around to do comparisons, don't worry. So the majority of the footage today will be based on looking close up at the screen. That's been fine, but the problem is it's felt subpar in comparison to the A500 because I've been using for a while now, I've been using SCART, and the SCART cable I've been using is this. So it's an RGB to SCART cable that I was gifted quite a while back by a guy called Zach, so very appreciative. And for the A500, this has been absolutely fine. As some of you know, recently got this screen, so that means I had two screens with SCART on them, so I could happily plug the A1200 in. So before purchasing another cable, I just wanted to see what that would look like. So I tested this cable, and imagine my surprise when I saw the noise I was getting in the image, and I will show you that when we do the comparison. And doing a bit of research, it seems quite a few people have indicated that A1200s, great though they are, they're a bit hit and miss in terms of the quality of the RGB output. Some are fine, and in fact, using this cable and this screen, my friend Shane bought his A1200 round, and his was absolutely fine. Same setup, same PSU, everything exactly the same. His A1200 was fine, mine had noise. So my mind was going down the rabbit hole of, does my A1200 have an issue? It's been recapped, everything. But again, my research led me to believe that some A1200s just have this problem, and it's just down to the choice of components inside them when they were being built by Commodore. Is a swap of cable really enough to fix this issue if you've got a noisy A1200? The cable that I ended up buying is this one from Retro Computer Shack in the UK. And yes, 100% just using this cable instead of this cable. Remember, this is fine on a good A1200 or an A500, no problem with this at all. But this is just a so much higher quality cable. Let's do a have a look at a comparison, and you'll see the image difference. Obviously, how much of this comes across on camera is going to be limited, but I'll do my best to give you the full experience. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so first and foremost, I must say this is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting anything from Retro Computer Shack by showing you these comparisons. This is just my own experience. Now, believe it or not, what you're looking at there, and I will zoom in post-production, but you are looking at a composite image. Now, on camera, I'm looking at the screen on the back of my phone. That's actually not looking too bad. But, you know, in real life, looking through my eyes, and even with some glasses on, it really is a messy image. You know, the text is nasty, nasty. And I'm going to just use this screen. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'll bring up a couple of windows just so we got some things to look at. There we go. Just so you've got something graphical to look at as well, and lots of icons to concentrate on as we look at this comparison. Okay, that is what that looks like through composite. I've just realized I've got to reboot the machine each time. I'll do my best to restage this, but I'm going to leave the camera running. Okay, so that's composite. The next one I'm going to plug in is this RGB to SCART cable, which is absolutely fine on a mate's A1200 and also on my A500, but not so much my A1200, just because of the noise that I get out of the signal. Let's plug this in and see what it looks like. Now that's even just booting up. See the noise on the black there? Look how hideous that is. I've forgotten how bad this was. It's so bad. Okay, and look, we're into Workbench. And I'm hoping you can see that. And again, I will zoom in post-production. I really hope you can see the hideous squiggly lines that are all over the screen. They are terrible. Let's open some windows. Let's do the same ones again. And there is our comparison. So that is the grey RGB to Scott. Oh, it's such a noisy image. When I'm looking at the camera, I'm really not seeing it. Oh yes, I am. Okay, I'm confident when I zoom in post, that's going to be there. There we go, zoomed in, you can really see the abysmal image and noise, that just constant wiggles all over the screen. Right, next is, and again, not a paid promotion, we will plug in the cable from Retro Computer Shack in the UK and see what that looks like. Okay, and here we can see just booting up, even there, that's a much cleaner black. Now, if I look at that through my eyes, I am still seeing a bit of wiggle, but nothing like you saw through that other cable. This is seriously, I've done nothing else other than change the cable. And this is the result. And I kid you not, it's as if I'm experiencing how good an A1200 can look on a modern screen for the first time when I first plugged this cable in. Let's bring up those same icons for a comparison. And there you go. There's that comparison shot again. Gives some nice blacks to look at there as well in this. Beautiful image. Absolutely amazing. And the text along the top here, absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. And so, yeah, not even joking. Jumping into something like Banshee, yes, I can do these things in emulation, but emulation, you're always expecting it to look perfect. What I'm talking about here is not experiencing what AGA looks like for the first time, but experiencing what an A1200 can look like for the first time. This, for me, is a mind-blowing experience and is helping me to appreciate what this machine can look like. And there we go. And unfortunately, like I said, you won't get the contrast, and I'll do my best to try and help you see, but you won't get the contrast that I'm getting face to face through the lens, because when I've been filming this LCD through composite, it's probably looked okay to you, but to my eyes locally, it's just been so subpar and a bit of an underwhelming experience playing on the A1200. Now I can see what the fuss is about. Still disappointed that there's not as many AGA games as there could have been, but I'm starting to really enjoy those that are. Okay, so look, there you are. Literally, the difference in changing to a higher quality cable does give those kind of results. So if you're one of these people that have got an A1200, but you're trying to get a clear RGB signal, and you're finding it's just not quite happening, then I'm not saying this is the fix for you, but it is certainly a low-cost thing to try. Now, other things we did try, and this what brings us into why this problem potentially exists. My friend Shane also bought round his original Commodore CRT monitor, and you can't see the noise on that either. Partially, it's an extremely high quality cable. But also, the fact is, a CRT doesn't show up these kind of artifacts like a modern screen does. You'll see similar issues when you plug in something like an N64 to a modern flat screen TV. It looks hideous, whereas you've got the softer image on a CRT that is just that more forgiving. So what I'm saying is the components, whilst a bit of a cheap out, possibly in the part of Commodore, were fine for the period, because you wouldn't have seen this issue on a CRT. That's just a fact. So they were good enough. So thanks to Shane for bringing around his monitor for me to test with, and for bringing around his A1200 to do a comparison test as well, because that was a really helpful troubleshooting exercise. Thank you also to another mate, John, who lent me 2 original Commodore RGB to SCART cables. What we discovered with those are they're designed for the original monitors, so they actually don't work. They just give a flat white image. They won't actually let, it's not compatible with them on the screen basically. But that flat white image, it was still a fantastic troubleshooting exercise, because again, they were extremely high quality cables, and that flat white image was issue free. There was no artifacting on it whatsoever. So that meant, okay, so it is possible to get a good signal out of this. And also, just thank you to everybody that input either in the groups. Ian is one guy in particular I can think of from the Perth Amiga users group, as well as everybody else who chimed in. And also on the Neil's Discord channel, people like Pillock especially, but there was lots of other people. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting everybody who chimed in, but lots of people having a discussion. And most people were saying just try a Retro Computer Shack cable and see if that fixes the problem. And look, here we are. Extremely low cost external fix. And why that's important to me is I do need to take this machine apart soon, because I need to clean up the floppy drive, and I want to have a go at seeing if I can retro bright this case and really bring this machine up to, let's try and aim for as new spec. It would be fantastic. And I know that I don't have to go poking around with things that I don't quite understand to try and fix something that, guess what, didn't even need fixing in the first place. Thanks for watching.